It's Friday, National Football Show, big sales. Line it up. Come on, line it up. Line it up. Hit the like button. Packed again. You know, man, sometimes when I say something to you guys, you know I say things in jest, okay? And sometimes when I say something to you, I hope you take it from life experiences that I have had when it comes to being around some of the greatest coaches in the history of the NFL. Okay? Do you know what a great coach is? What's your definition of a great coach? What do you think a definition of a great coach is? Winning, obviously. Players follow you. They buy into what you're preaching and selling. All of that comes around with winning, right? Confidence. I read a story today that kind of defines everything I told you what makes a great coach. So Jonathan Gannon has come up with a new way of using Hassan Reddick. It's going to drop him back in coverage. Why in the world would you take a guy's skill set that he's great at, rushing the passer, and have him do something that's less of his skill set? You know, putting players in the proper positions to win, that's what a great coach is. That's what defines a coach. You know the coaches I love? They wind you up and just let you play. Not this guy. See, this guy's been hearing everybody talk about how non-creative he is, Jonathan Gannon. So he's going to come up with some harebrained idea of dropping a 6'1", 235-pound pass-rushing edge rusher to cover backs out of the backfield. I read this story on CBSSports.com, and it just blows my mind. Here's the first red flag of the year for me, for Jonathan Gannon. Why would I put a guy in a position to fail? Do you truly believe that a guy like Hassan Reddick is going to cover a guy like Travis Kelce? Okay? Jeff Kerr wrote the story. A contributor to JAKIB Sports. Why in your right mind would you do something like that? Okay? That'd be like playing A.J. Brown at tight end. Great coaches put you in a position to succeed. But he's coming up with an idea that let's drop him in coverage. Arizona screwed him up for a couple years because they played him inside. He wasn't effective. And by the way, the only reason they found out he was a good pass rusher was because Chandler Jones got hurt. Dude, that's not a way to utilize somebody that you just signed some pretty good money to bring him in to try to figure out a way to keep him on the field, because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make him an every down defensive player, and he's not. He's a specialized pass rusher. But you think he can cover tight end and backs out of the backfield? Not in your life. Not in your life. GG goes, I'm back for more abuse. What's up, Big Sales? I'm not abusing anybody here except the defensive coordinator. Why would you put that guy in a position to fail? Because you have some harebrained idea that he fits into your scheme of things? Bro, I'm going to give you guys a lesson on what a coach told me years ago. You know, Bobby Ross, and I know that Barrett doesn't like the guy because when Barrett was in Detroit, Bobby was pretty much out of gas when he was at the end of that run there with the Lions. But I asked him this question years ago when he took over the Chargers and they ended up playing the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I said, Coach, how'd you make the transition from the college game into the NFL? He goes, it was simple. I didn't bring a system in. We evaluated all the players and we created a system around the players. one of the greatest things I ever heard. That's what Belichick does, and that's what Belichick has been doing for over 20 years in New England. When you have skill set players on your football team, you don't jam a square peg in a round hole. You figure out what you have, and then you build a system around those guys. How many times have you heard a coach with, hey, John Gruden becomes victim to this. John's got this gigantic playbook, and he thinks he can just plug in players when you've got to create an offensive game plan. That's why you're seeing so many of these young, new offensive minds that are in the game today. You know why? These guys create customized game plans for the talent that's on the field. My opinion, that's why Nick Sirianni got the job in Philly. Was because he was able to customize plans around Howie's roster. That's exactly why you're seeing the Kevin Stefanskis. You're seeing like the guy in Miami and up in Minnesota. Also Hackett in Denver. These guys customize skilled set plans around the skilled players they have on their roster. But not Jonathan Gannon. Hey, let's come up with a way to underutilize somebody. Boy, I'll tell you, man, you talk about a guy who's on the hot seat and how that guy got a job interview for the Houston Texans head coaching job is unbelievable. There is nothing redeeming about the system that Jonathan Gannon runs or how he schematically goes after teams that is redeeming as a defensive coordinator. And the players, in my opinion, have to look and sometimes shake their head. No wonder Fletcher Cox last year was shaking his head. Jesus, criminy guy. It's July 29th, and we're talking about taking Hassan Reddick out of a pass rush drill, out of a pass rushing scheme on 3rd and long and dropping him back. How idiotic can you be? You can't be more dumber to do something like that. Would you take TJ Watt and drop him in coverage when it's 3rd and long? In any way of your imagination, would you not want TJ Watt rushing the passer? 99.9% of the time. Only in Pittsburgh, though, right? What an idiot. Dude, I'm telling you, the guy that, hey, Jalen has just now moved down to peg 2 for me. When it comes to criticism and it comes to making sure he's in the bullseye every day. Jonathan Gannon has become my number 1 target. Jalen's going to do things that make him better. Work on passing better. Work on being more accurate. Work on his body so that he could take the pounding that he's going to have to take this year because he's their number 1 rusher. He's doing all the right things. Gannon, hey, let me take Hassan Reddick and have him cover tight ends. You think really Howie brought him in for that? Oh, wait, it's a smokescreen. I forgot because of the great defensive mind Jonathan Gannon is. That guy is not a good coach. You know what's funny? Jonathan Gannon is a marginal defensive coordinator. He'll probably make a great head coach. Watch this guy turn out to be a great head coach. As a defensive coordinator, I don't buy his system. I don't buy his style. I don't buy the fact he's not aggressive. And to be in Philadelphia and not be aggressive defense with the likes of the Jim Johnsons and the Buddy Ryans of the past is unbelievable. You got a soft-ass approach to defense in Philly. Jonathan Gannon is that bend but don't break style. GT's like, how do you think Reddick feels right now about this? It's a great point, GT. Hey, when you're making that kind of money and you're in helmets and shorts, let's see if that guy really has the onions to do that in a football game against the Cardinals or against the Vikings. So get this. In a 3rd and long against Minnesota, week 2 at the Link, he's going to drop Hassan Reddick on KJ Osborne, the tight end, instead of pass rushing on Kirk Cousins. Where last year, quarterbacks went into the Link and they looked, all of them, like Hall of Famers. 90% completion percentage, 78% completion percentage. Shit, Kansas City had so little respect for the secondary of the Eagles last year, they ran the ball for 200 yards. And I can't even tell you who a running back on Kansas City is. By the way, bottom of the hour, morning man, on 97.5, the fanatic John Kincade will join us in this hour, 3:30 Eastern. We're going to look at the Giants. That's the next opponent that's on the Eagles' schedule. The 2022 New York Giants. We'll take a look at that. We didn't get a chance to rank the quarterbacks yesterday, but Jesus criminy, man. Right out of the gate, we're talking about a guy taking a guy out of position and out of his strength and putting him on a football field that doesn't take advantage of the things you signed him for. Doesn't make sense, man. Hassan Reddick, a cover guy. They can't figure out how to use him. I told you this was going to be the biggest concern of mine, how Jonathan Gannon was going to use a guy that's 6'1", 235. You see, he's unconventional. You can't play a guy 6'1", 235 in a forefront. And if you think you can play him at nickel, I know John McMullen thinks you can play him at nickel. That's still a version of a forefront or a stand-up. You're going to be taking on big dudes, man, for 17 weeks. Watch this. I don't think Hassan Reddick makes the year. You need to situationally play him. He's not an every down end. You know why he's now on his third straight team in his third straight year? Because nobody knows how to utilize him. The reason I asked you that question yesterday, why is the guy, and even his college coach passed on him, why is the guy, double-digit sacks too, why is the guy going on his third straight team in a third straight year? You don't know how to use him. You know, there was a guy back in the day by the name of Kevin Green. No one knew what to do with him. He was 6'2", 230 pounds. Nobody knew what to do with him. Then they figured it out in Pittsburgh and in Los Angeles how to use him. He became one of those. He was called a tweener. See, that's what Hassan Reddick is officially. He's a tweener, not an edge rusher. He's a tweener. He's between a linebacker and he's between a defensive end. He'll rush him 90%. Look at what Yale says. He'll rush him 90%. And that 10% beats you for having a guy out of position in a tight game, Yale. Think about that. The point differential in the National Football League is 3 points. Every play matters, especially in games that you're going to be playing tight ball games. Remember, this is not a prolific offense. You're not going to put up 35 points a game with this offense. You're going to be a grounded pound. You're going to be effective on third down, but you're not going to be a 40-point scoring game type of team. That's not who you are. Actually, you've never been that. Understand something. So when somebody goes like this, well, he's going to pass rush 95% of the time. Dude, 5%. 2 plays, 3 plays, out of position. You're out of position one time. Look at what one play did in the NFC Championship game a couple years ago when Brady went up to Green Bay going into the half against the Packers. That kid breaks loose. They score a touchdown. Green Bay never came back from that. One play in tight games. All these games this year pretty much are going to be pretty tight ball games for the Eagles. You're trying to tell me, honestly, you're going to take a guy out of position. Okay. Mike says we'll see again as much like Hurts. Prove it year. He actually gained 12 pounds. Barrett explained this earlier. 12 pounds, and you're going to drop him back more. Congratulations to you. To me, Reddick is a 34 rusher, which is basically a DE. Good luck on a 6'6 guy. He's not 235. He's 247 at 6'1". Congratulations to you. A 247-pound defensive end. In today's NFL, that guy couldn't start on Alabama's defensive line. The ends at Alabama are 260, 285 pounds. I mean, really, he's 6'1". Okay, he's 6'1". We're not talking about he's gained that. By the way, can I say something to you too? I watched that show, Sports Take, today. Xander, I saw it. You know the one thing you're going to get on my show? Personally, I will always speak my mind on the truth of the Eagles, and I'm going to get to their practice time. What was it, an hour and some minutes today? Okay, great. Okay. Remember something, when you're critical of something or you're fair with the coverage of it, you know what fair is today when you're covering a team? NFL teams hate fair coverage. Just like the White House. No matter who's in it. They don't want you telling fair coverage, covering it fairly, telling people what's going on. People have spin. They redefine definitions. If the White House does it by redefining recession, do you think sports talk radio stations or anybody who covers the Eagles or any NFL team is going to give you what they see on a daily basis when they're watching a practice? They can't. You know why? Because of accessibility. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're going to come out here during the regular season and be jerks and personalize this. That's not going to happen. But you know what I am going to do? Like I am with Jonathan Gannon. I promise you this, there's not a sports talk person in Philadelphia right now blasting the defensive coordinator for coming up with some harebrained scheme on how you're going to underutilize one of your major assets. Nobody would do that. Me, I'm going to tell you why things are going to happen when it comes to success. I may be wrong. I'm not suggesting here I have the crystal ball on. That's right, Reyes. Access. Hey, access leads to tempered thoughts. Remember that. Remember I told you that. Access leads to tempered thoughts and not giving full opinions. Now, that has hurt me in the past. I'm being just honest with you here. My past with me criticizing the Hurricanes or the Dolphins or the Buccaneers, not suggesting to you that I did it right. I think you got to be smarter today. My opinion, Jonathan Gannon utilizing Hassan Reddick like that, it's ridiculous and idiotic. Jonathan Gannon may be able to say this at the end of the year. Sills, it worked, didn't it? You're wrong. You're right. I'm sorry. We are going to find out why a guy is now on his third team in 3 years. This practice time thing, you're not going to get anybody that's ever played the game to think this. Okay, an hour's practice or a little over an hour's practice is good enough to start your football season out and practicing. I don't care if they run the drills and know what the layout of the land is when it comes to pass rush drills, 9-on-7, 7-on-7, pass probe. I don't care. It's written on a chalkboard. When you're in helmet, and I'm assuming they'll be in full gear tomorrow. Usually on the third day, you're in full gear. I guarantee you that practice is 50 minutes. It won't be long enough. That football team is going to start out the same way it did last year, slow. But you'll be healthy, and that's why you'll be 2-4 by the bye. And you'll have to rally the troops to have a good season, and they will, because the schedule sets up for that. But if you're not practicing game tempo right now, how in the world are you telling me that Jalen Hurts is getting better with 50 minutes of practice. And by the way, the stats today from Elliott Polyshore, funny. 8 of 15, 2 picks, 1 was registered, I guess. I don't care. He's in helmets and shorts. It doesn't really matter. Xander goes, you're going to blast him? No, I'm not going to blast him because I don't give a crap about the other day when he was 12 of 15. I don't care about this. These are not quality reps. I don't care. Plus, they may be asking him to do something that I'm not privy of because I'm not there. Look, I'm not mad here. I'm just trying to give you the skinny here of where we're going into day 3. You know, they take a mocha break yesterday for some reason. Now they're practicing a little over an hour. They'll probably be in full pads tomorrow. Do they have two-a-days? When's their first two-a-day practice? Kelce says it extended his career. Jason Kelce, Yale, versus Jalen Hurts in their points of their career. I'm not going to have to play Jason Kelce in scrimmages. Jalen Hurts needs scrimmages. He's 25 years old. You're talking about a 35-year-old all-pro surefire Hall of Famer. That guy has built assets and equity up with me. He can sit down for a couple practices. I'm good with that. Jalen Hurts needs all the reps he can get. So let me get this right. Peyton Manning would practice 2 hours before every NFL Sunday game, throwing to his wideouts, but not the Eagles and Hurts. Peyton Manning with Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark. Those guys would practice hour on hour on hour, not only on the field, but in the study room too. One of the most prolific passers of all time thought it was essential that they were on a practice field for hours, throwing the ball to one another. But not the Eagles. And not a guy who's limited with an arm. I don't get it. I don't get it. You got the talent on the team. I don't think you got the coaching. My opinion, I keep hearing people say, you know, they're buying into Sirianni? Yeah. Who doesn't want to work less and get paid more? Who in their right mind doesn't want that? Hey, I'll work less. I'll work an hour today and I'll get paid more. Sounds like a good deal to me. Players need to be led, not leading your coach. And again, it's a front office thing. The front office would rather have you less prepared, but healthy. Buccaneers lose their center. They'll adjust. Brady will adjust. Have to get the ball out quicker. Okay. Nobody in their right mind thinks less work means you'll be more prepared for the season. But we want to be healthy. That's practicing in fear. You're practicing with a fear mentality that someone will get hurt. Do you know when you play professional football, you've got to have a narcissist mentality. I tell Xander this all the time. When you play pro ball, you got to pretend you're Superman, that nothing will affect you at any time, no matter if it's on the field or no matter if somebody says some shit to you in the media. You've got to let that stuff bounce off you. And you've got to have the FU mentality. When somebody's on your field in front of you, or if they're in your face in a press conference, hey, FU guy. You can't be coming from the angle of, well, I don't want to get anybody hurt. Smith reminds me of Marvin Harrison. Yeah, well, Marvin Harrison had a quarterback throwing him the ball. You will never see, under this current system of how they do things, the full potential of Devontae Smith. Ever. You know it and I know it. You can't practice for 25 minutes and think you're going to have success. It's funny. The teams that work their asses off are traditionally the teams that have the best success every year. I'm going to give you a statistic that Coach Jimmy Johnson told me years ago. Do you know that he believed in full contact practices during the year and all the way through November? And do you know what he found out? His teams were healthier and they gave up least amount of rushing attempts every single year because they practiced like that. And they tried that Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman mentality where they lightened up. Guess what? They gave up more yards per play. Oh, you got to be a young team to do that. That's why the Cowboys were the youngest football team in the NFL under Jimmy Johnson. They didn't have old guys on that team. There were no old guys on that team. Few of them, like Haley, Nate, Tweener. Few of them. Rest of them were all young guys. Little Dallas Cowboy, thanks for coming aboard. Don't they have to follow these practice time guidelines like every other team doesn't have? Are you kidding me? You think they take powder puffs and mocha breaks up in New England? Bill Belichick practices in inclement weather, has his guys outside. There's no bubble in New England. When you practice in New England, I'll tell you one of the reasons Gronk probably hated playing up there. Dude, when you play in New England in November, when you got 10 feet of snow and 18-foot snow drifts, you're practicing in that because you play in that. Why in the world would you practice inside when you got 70 degrees? You're 70 below and you go outside and you're not ready for it. I completely agree with that. Play in the heat, practice in the heat. Here, let me turn the AC on. Sirianni is in some serious smoke if this team starts slow. Joseph, how could you not think they're going to start slow when they don't practice hard, but they're going to be healthy? Okay? So you don't practice hard, and you're trying to come up with a way to use Hassan Reddick in pass protection, and you're trying to figure out how he can cover tight ends and backs out of the backfield. Why in the world would I put a guy like that on the field? That's not his skill set. His skill set's to get after quarterbacks and kill people. Why in the world would you put that in there? Again, that would be like putting Devontae Smith in the slot, knowing that he's going to get crushed going across the middle by a linebacker when you know he's not built for that. Why would you do that? That's smart thinking of putting – look, again, putting players in position to be successful is what a great coach does. He looks at a guy – I tell you this all the time. When I got to Tampa and they asked me to play nose guard, I went like this. Okay, I've never done it. Why would you take me, who ran a 4.8, got after people all the time, was as productive as any player in the country? Why would you have me sit there and be a slug on the D line and just two-gap somebody? Why would you do that? All the things that I had built up, and I'm not saying, hey, look, I'm not saying that was the only reason I failed. I failed because of numerous things. But putting me in a shitty position like that too didn't help. Didn't help. Great coaches. That's why I use New England as a benchmark. You know why I use New England as a benchmark? I use New England as a benchmark because they're skilled at putting players in position. How many times have you seen guys that are activated one week, have a great game, next week they're deactivated because they don't fit the next week's game plan? That's great coaching. Okay? Players won't like it, but it's about winning games. It's about putting the best 22 on the field at all times versus that particular Sunday opponent. That's how I see it. You see, guys, we're now in the real talk time of the year. This is real talk now. All the other stuff was fun. We're having a fun time talking about what could happen. What we're here. This is real talk. This is practice talk. This is looking at a chalkboard, seeing where you are in the depth chart. This is where you're now going to start game planning against teams when it comes to exhibition football. You're going to start looking at that Lions game here in a couple days and start thinking about how you're going to approach Jared Goff. and DeAndre Swift. You're going to start thinking about how you're going to block Aiden Hutchinson. We're now in it here. This is it. How are we going to – everything you do right now when you step onto a football field is going to have a ramification on the first game of the year against the Lions. The eye in the sky is on you, and they're evaluating everything you do. Your workouts, your pass probe, even in helmets and shorts. In Philly, that's all you have and what you're going on because you really don't practice hard enough. Sup goes, Sills had a shorter career than Ryan Leaf. Well, then you should take my advice on how you stay in the league. You're damn right I did. I failed. And the things I see here are the same failures. You're damn right. And if you think I'm coming off here like I'm some all-pro, I come from an angle of failure, sub. Not being an all-pro. I was drafted 56th as a junior. No reason for me to fail in that thing, and I did. Gigi put up there, actually, it was a little more games than that. I was deactive in some. What failed? I wasn't mentally prepared. I wasn't a professional. I went to the shittiest organization in football, all of that. Look, there is no doubt this year it's going to come down to this. There's three things that we're going to be looking at. They're going to have tentacles when we go everywhere when it comes to the Eagles this year. Head coach, defensive coordinator, and how the quarterback plays. All the rest of it is sidebar conversation. Again, when I hear that Hassan Reddick is going to drop back in coverage today, and I'm talking about Jonathan Gannon, that's not utilizing an asset you have. That's coming up with something different that doesn't go to the player's skill set. And here's a guy last year that defense struggled mightily. One of my favorite people. You know, yesterday we had Mike Missinelli on, and I really love the fact that there's so many great sports talkers that I've come across. And I will say this about my friend John Kincade, the morning man on 97.5, the Fanatic. He's here with us now. He's one of the best sports talkers. When he was in Atlanta, his roots really are Flyers and Philly and Eagles and Phillies. Hey, man, I'm so glad that you're able to join us here. Thank you so much, John, for doing this, man. Being a morning guy like I was for 25 years, you live like a vampire.
You know that I just got up from a nap. That reinforces that absolutely reinforces your opinion. And today I napped right up until it was time to talk to you. So I was like, I can't believe it. Usually by the end of the week, I'm ready. I said, give me one afternoon where I have like 2 hours just to crash. So that's what I did. But it's nice now. So how are you doing, Dan? It's good to see you. Usually on a radio row, I'm getting a big Dan Sileo hug. It feels weird though, just doing it screen to screen. Damn COVID. I said it's nice that we've learned different ways to be able to catch up with people though.
Absolutely, John. You're one of the best out there too, and you know that how much I respect your work and what you do here. Do you agree with me, John, that this year really, I mean, the head coach, I mean, like, you know, I tell people this all the time. He got out to a great start last year, but look at Matt Nagy a couple of years ago. He was the NFL Coach of the Year. He's blown out this past offseason here. It really doesn't matter so much what you do in the start of it. You've got to see great consistency. Then the defensive coordinator with all the question marks on what we saw last year, and of course, Jalen Hurts. Those are the three things that we're all going to be watching this year: how the head coach motivates the team, how the defensive coordinator puts in the new pieces, and the quarterback. Do you agree that those three are the major points?
Well, the one thing I would say is Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator, is really mission critical to what they accomplished, because last year Gannon was being asked to succeed with really, he only had half a deck to work with. They went out loaded up his cupboards this offseason. He's got talent at all three levels now that is NFL level competent. Last year, he didn't have that. The offense last year for the Eagles starts out 2-5. They were terrible, absolutely atrocious, and they were leading the NFL in history in penalties after 7 weeks. So they were a real mixed bag. Everything sort of cleaned itself up. 9-8 was nothing to write home about. And then the blowout loss to the Buccaneers. I'm sort of looking at that as like the first pancake. My mom back in Broomall, Pennsylvania would have her griddle all set up. She'd make one pancake and then she'd throw it out. And just to test the griddle. Last year, I'm looking at that for Nick Sirianni as the one that tested the griddle. He threw that one out. Let's start over. Even though it was a playoff season, it really wasn't that impressive.
How about this too, John? Does it concern you with Hassan Reddick that this is his third team in 3 years? That even his college coach at Temple, Matt Rule, ended up passing on him and allowing him to sign that contract with the Eagles. And I talked to some of the people in Arizona. One of the issues that they had there with him was that they first initially played him inside, which was out of position. Then when Chandler Jones went down, they put him outside, and he ended up being an effective pass rusher, double-digit sacks in Arizona and in Carolina. Not saying that the skill set's not there, but I mean, a third team in 3 years, to me, it sounds like he's one of them old-school hybrid guys, John, that people really have a tough time figuring out what to do with him. 34, 43, 46 defense. He's kind of that tweener guy. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. And I think, too, though, the situation came about where it was time for him to be able to he could make a move. And when Philadelphia comes calling, it was available to him and he jumps. Look, Dan, when Joe Bell made the phone call and said, look, you're not in Atlanta anymore, there's an opportunity. That was my opportunity to come home to Philadelphia as a free agent. And I jumped at it. And I had other opportunities, but I wanted to be here. And I wanted to be back home. And I think for Hassan, that really happened. And that really meant something because the minute he got here, he fired up his foundation over in Jersey. He got back in touch with his high school and his college roots as far as getting involved in the community and everything. I think this is something that Reddick had his eye on and figured, I put two real solid years in. Now I can cash in and I can go home to Philadelphia.
I want to take you over to the offense here, and obviously it starts at Jalen Hurts. You believe he's the quarterback in 2023 after this year?
I do. The reason being is I think this defense has taken such a huge step forward. It's going to help Jalen Hurts in his progression as a starting quarterback because last year he didn't get put on many short fields. In fact, many times Jalen Hurts is starting to drive on his own 20, his own 22, his own 25. There was nothing in the defense to ever put the offense on a short field. And I believe this year you're going to see Jalen Hurts on some shorter fields because he's got an impactful defense to get the ball back for him. So I think that will help him. I also think that it honestly, he's got the best offensive line in football to have behind. And with the threats in the running game that they've got, with a Miles Sanders, with a Kenneth Gainwell, who I actually think is going to end up being the better option in the running game this year, that just makes Hurts that more dynamic. Because when you don't know whether he's going to keep it, whether he's going to hand it off, or whether he's going to roll a bit and then try to throw it downfield, I think it just gives him the more options that he has to throw the football or to run the football, just makes him that much more dangerous. And I think his arm still needs that right now. He still
John, you bring
obvious throw.
John, you bring a point up here with Gainwell, and I happen to agree 100%. I think Miles Sanders is a fine ball player, but he's not a today NFL running back complete player. He's atrocious on catching the football. And if you're going to try to help Jalen Hurts in the passing game, I mean, John, last year their screen game and their slot passing game was non-existent.
What screen game? I didn't.
It was non-existent, but if you can't count on Jalen Hurts to do this, well, let's throw 15-yard outs and 15-yard in passes and think you're going to have a high percentage. So this kid Gainwell, right, John, this guy gives them more of a chance. Brady made a career, dink, dunk, tight end, one time over the top, and he made a career out of that, doing that. They need to get to that.
Dan, I wanted to see Gainwell used last year a little bit more like Brian Westbrook early in his career. And boy, did it help Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb, they made each other Pro Bowl. There were so many things you could do. Like Brian Westbrook was like a corkscrew. He was like one of those tools they sell you on late night TV when you napped in the afternoon, you can't sleep at night. Oh, look what it can do. You can you can build a boat with it. You could you can hammer in a nail with this thing. I think Brian Westbrook was that kind of guy. I don't know that Gainwell has that potential, but hell, if he's 3/4 of the player that Westbrook ever was for the Eagles, Gainwell's going to be a huge hit. I think he is going to be the biggest Eagle that makes a jump this year in our awareness is going to be Gainwell in this offense.
I love that take there. Who do you think benefits the most from having A.J. Brown in that huddle? Dallas Goedert or Devontae Smith?
I'm going to tell you, I think it's Dallas Goedert because I think so much attention is going to go the way of A.J. Brown. And then, so secondary attention goes to Devontae Smith. Are you kidding me? That big target's going to be trotting, 7 yards out, 9 yards out, 12 yards deep. Dallas Goedert should be in for a huge year this year. I think his over-under on receptions is like 71.5 or something. I'd bet the over on that big time. I absolutely would jump in on that one. I think Goddard's in for a huge year. I
do too. Yeah, how far? I said this, John. I think they're the favorites to win the NFC East. Again, putting a number on that. I wish if I could put a number on that, I'd be playing that Powerball. Okay, so I mean that's what I'd be doing right now. But
you mean the Mega?
I do think they have. What's that?
Nearly as big as the Mega Millions. You want the Mega? Don't make that mistake.
Yeah, if I hit that Mega Millions, you'll never see big sales again. I'll burn the bridges and the boats. Never see that again. Hey, but this team does. Have they closed the gap, in your opinion, with Dallas?
Yeah, Dallas has a gap to make up on the Philadelphia Eagles. I really believe that. There's no doubt in my mind the Eagles are the division favorites. And there's little doubt in my mind that they'll be the team that has the bye week or has the position to host a home game as a division champion. That bye week thing went away. I don't think they're going to be that good where they can get the top seed, but I do believe that the Eagles will be a division winner, putting them in those top 4 seeds. And then we'll see where it goes from there. A division winner and a home playoff game win, to me, would make this year just a huge success. And I really don't believe the Eagles are a Super Bowl type team at all for this year. I think you have to learn more. I think you have to grow more. I think you need a few skin knees. You need a couple of black eyes. You need to learn along the way. But if the Eagles were to win the division this year and win a playoff game, Dan, I'll talk to you next summer. And with a few additions, including 2 first-round picks that they've got here, next year I could talk about them potentially playing in the Super Bowl. And I believe that one's in Vegas, which would really blow my mind. That would be
absolutely. I'm getting Rich McKay on. I told Rich that I'm getting you on today. I'm getting him on next week, and he goes, "You tell Kincade." I said, "Hi, man." I mean, I love Rich McKay. He's on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right, John? I think he's the chairman of the competition committee.
Yeah, the competition committee chair. When he was running the Falcons, I can tell you, Dan, is that, you do the job 21 years in more than 21 years in Atlanta like I did. You meet all the executives. You get to know them a little bit. Rich McKay was a guy, Dan, he'd pick up the phone. He would talk to you. He would tell you what you got right and what you got wrong. And one time, the best of all, I got scolded by Rich McKay's wife who heard something on the show, disagreed with it, and he said, "Handle it yourself." And she did. And we loved Mrs. McKay. She was awesome. But you know what, though? That's one of the best things, Dan, is that, and you've learned it over the years too, is that you've got to be willing to be accountable. And we were saying something, and in his, and not in my defense at all, she ended up being right. And we corrected the record, but she was a great lady. And we always liked dealing with Rich because he never dodged me, ever. Never did he. The Philadelphia Eagles management could learn a little something from Rich McKay, because Rich McKay, we weren't the flagship station. He made time for us. Rich McKay took the tough questions. And you know what? He had some tough questions for you too, because he'd be listening. And he'd say, "Why'd you say that? That makes no sense because that never happened." Or, "What you thought happened didn't happen. Let me explain it to you." And it's a different age in media today. It's like there are these firewalls up about who's going to disseminate their information and everything. That wasn't Rich McKay.
No way, man. You know, John, it's about accessibility. I'm going to close with this. I'm going to show you something.
What's that?
I'm going to show you something here. Now, you're going to look at this and go, okay, now let me show you this.
Okay.
This was given to me by the Rangers, but you know who sent this?
Who?
John Tortorella. And I'm going to tell you, when John was down in Tampa, I forged this relationship with him. He is a gigantic football fan, and I keep telling the folks in Philadelphia, the greatest soundbite human being on the planet has landed in Philly because it'll be entertaining. He'll wear your ass out. I don't know how long he's going to be in Philadelphia with the Flyers, but I love the hire of having John Tortorella as the Flyers head coach.
I loved it too. And I couldn't believe people were saying, well, you're hiring a win now coach. And I said, well, obviously you don't know the resume of John Tortorella, because John Tortorella in Tampa turned them into winners. John Tortorella with the Rangers took a team that was floundering around just above mediocrity and made them actually a threat. Then he went to Columbus and he taught them how to be winners.
Vancouver too. Too.
Yeah, and that was only 1 year there. It didn't really work out that much. But the thing I'm going to tell you, Dan, is bull poop to all the people saying, well, why are you hiring a win now coach? This is a guy who teaches young players how to win. And he's a guy with 3 stops on his resume, 6 seasons long. Show me anybody who can do that. I personally worked for a guy, Mike Keenan, who was one of the greatest guys, one of the greatest minds in the game. Mike Keenan wore out his welcome sort of right after the opening press conference. I think when you'd walk from the opening press conference, by the time he got to his office, one secretary had maybe, taken herself out back with a cocktail. I mean, it was on. But with John Tortorella, if you can last 6 years in any job, media, coaching, or otherwise, and you do it 3 times, the hell with this win now mode. No, that's a guy who knows how to build relationships and knows how to create a relationship that lasts. I can't wait to have Torts here. So excited for that. Now that I know he likes football, that's even better, because it was a blast when he came on with us the first time. I can't wait to be able to do something with him. It's going to be a lot of fun.
He is an absolutely John. You're going to love the guy. I mean, he's right up your alley. I mean, straight shooter kind of guy, and he's just passionate about what he does.
Dan, I asked him once, I was doing a Thrashers television broadcast. I was the guy who asked coaches questions as they're coming off the ice, or did a between periods interview and stuff like that. And I once asked John Tortorella live on camera in Atlanta. I said to him, all right, coach, Thrashers got a couple goals there. You guys have been giving up goals and blowing leads lately. What are you going to need to do in the third to turn it around? He goes, why don't you tell me? Seems like you got all the answers. All I could do on camera was just be like, I laughed, because he was just like, yeah, Einstein. And he goes, when you figure it out, tell me, or something. And he walked off, and it was funny. I mean, I can't wait to work with him. And as the flagship station, the Fanatic, we're going to have a lot of fun with him. I think it's going to be great. I refuse to give into the gloom and doom of everything. Everybody's like, oh, it's so bad. It's so terrible. Look, I'm going to find joy in any day. It's on my profile, #joyous. When you have cancer twice, by the time you're like 30, you find a way to wake up every day and say, thank God I'm here. What can we do to have some fun? And Sileo, I know you know a little bit about having fun. Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. With that, I close with you, and make sure the next time you touch base with Buck, you say I said hi to him. Another guy I love.
Buck's got a book out on his championship season, so you catch up with him. He's doing a great job. I love Buck, and God, he was my brother for 21 years on the air, so it's amazing. All right, Dan.
What a great run that was, and what a great run you're having right now. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. That is my friend John Kincade, the morning man on 97.5, The Fanatic. We'll reset, get back to all your thoughts here. Do me a favor, guys. You know Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free, meaning this: they do not get paid unless you get your fair compensation. If you're hurt or injured on the job, know this: Morgan & Morgan is going to be there for you, because, look, for the people, it's not a slogan. This is what they are and who they are. This is what John Morgan has done for the last 30 years, is collect over $13.5 billion worth of compensation for his clients. Offices in Philly, New York, and in Florida. My friends, 800 strong attorneys makes them the biggest law firm in the country when it comes to fair compensation if you've been hurt or injured on the job. The call is free. The consultation's free. 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. Open 24/7, 7 days a week. 800-512-1600. And when you call Morgan & Morgan, tell them Big Sil sent you.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When you're hit from behind in a car crash, the insurance company may try to say, you can't possibly be hurt. It was only a few miles an hour. It's simply not true. You see, here's the thing. Getting hit at 10 miles per hour is like falling off of this. 15 miles per hour, like this. And only 25 miles per hour, this. Injured, dial pound law. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Welcome back. National Football Show. It's your boy Big Sills. Please hit the like button. Let's see what Xander gives him. Like John Kincade. I like John Kincade too. I know John a long time. And John's one of those guys. And but by the way, I love what John said because he and Rich McKay and myself are close friends. And Xander says he's their best hire in a long time. I happen to agree 100%. The rest of that lineup, I don't know. But John's really a talented guy. Could have went from what I understand, I think he was going to take a job at ESPN. And he was going to be on their national lineup, which would have helped them a lot because ESPN radio is not very good. It was good at one time back in the day, but John's good people too, man. He's real passionate about his sports talk, his content. I trust him. I like him. He's good folks. So We appreciate him coming aboard with us. By the way, Rich McKay, the president of the Atlanta Falcons and the chairman of the competition committee, will be on with us. The reason he didn't come on this week, I know, Xander, that I told everybody this week, but Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, is speaking on Saturday after the first full scrimmage. And so we're going to get – nobody likes to talk before the owner. And so Rich, who's the president of the team, will speak with us sometime next week, and we'll set that up, and we'll talk to all the changes that you're going to see this year in the upcoming season of the NFL. We're going to look at the rankings of the quarterbacks in the NFC East. Also, we're going to take a look at the New York Giants here in a couple minutes because that's the next opponent up. Again, what's crazy about that Giants schedule this year for the Eagles, you play them the first week in the Meadowlands on the 14th week of the season, and then you finish up the season in week 18 at Lincoln Financial with the New York Giants. So you play the Giants, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 times in 5 games. So, and you go on the road, too, when you first play the Giants in week 14. Meadowlands, Soldier Field, then you play in Arlington when you play the Cowboys in week 16. So then Saints, and close up, like I said, with the Giants. So we'll talk Giants. That'll be at the top of the hour here in a minute. I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about preparation for the upcoming season. Okay? If you're training to be a sprinter, would you jog? Would you jog 100 meters? Or would you sprint 100 meters in practice? If I'm a long-distance runner, I'm going to practice long distance. If I'm a high hurdler, I'm going to practice high hurdling. I'm not going to sit here and do this like the NFL. I mean, dude, you got 60 minutes of ball game. 60 minutes. You got to hit the field running. You got to hit the field like it was the last game of last year when you were all prepared to play 60 minutes of ball. You can't just lollygag into a season like you did last year. And you were 2-5. I think a lot of that had to do with preparation. How many times do you see this? And how many times do you hear this? The more prepared person in anything in life, interviews, sports, commentating, get the best results. Boy, man, coming from a place of fear is a culture. And so the doctors at the NovaCare Center convinced Howie it would be best for the coaches not to practice hard. What do those guys know about preparing for an upcoming season? You guys won a Super Bowl with that mentality. But it's going to change now? Hour 10 minutes. Hour 20 minutes, whatever the hell it was. Hey, look, I'm not saying you have to go through 3-a-days and beat everybody's ass up like you did back in the day. I thought it was obnoxious. I thought the preseason games, playing 6 of them, was obnoxious. You cut it down to 3 because you have the extra 17th game now. I think everything is perfect. Actually, personally, I think there needs – can I tell you what I think the NFL needs? I think they need another bye week. You want to make sure the safety and the health of your players, that you get the best players by the time the postseason comes. Put another freaking bye in there. Owners don't want to pay players, though, for not playing. That's why they don't dig it. And they miss out on the revenue. I mean, the only reason there's one less preseason game is because there's one regular season game. Do you know that you have to pay the same ticket prices for the preseason games as you do the regular NFL seasonal games? And the owner doesn't care, man. He's looking at revenue. Davey Boy says, Sills wants these guys to train like 1983. No. I want them to train like winners. Like every other team does that wins. Okay, that's what I want them to train like. Not this analytical stuff that you're seeing now. Well, if we rest them here and we don't do this and we have mocha breaks here, we have tea here. Dude, these are football players, man. Last year, you got lucky. I don't think they're going to get lucky like that where nobody was injured. See, they're under the notion because we didn't practice anybody. And nobody prepared hard last year. Well, you got out to a 2-5 start. Then you had to run the ball to get back into it. And your quarterback did not develop at all last year. Do you know that I think? Can I tell you this? You tell me, Xander. I got to write this down because I got to take a time out. I didn't think about this until just now. Okay? Toilet goes, train like Jensen. You're a football player, guy. You're not Rafi Nadal. Injuries happen in this sport. Okay? Hey, Toilet. You guys were healthy last year and were destroyed in the playoff game. I'm gonna expand this. Gonna look at the Giants. Hit the like button. Hour 2. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Okay, thanks. Please hit the like button. Toilet. Ryan Jensen was hurt in helmets and shorts. He was not in full gear. So take that notion and throw that out the window. If you think that they were practicing in full gear, he was not in full gear. He's doing the same thing that you're doing at the NovaCare Center, okay? He's doing the same thing. Helmets and shorts. There was nothing special going on, according to Bruce Arians. Nothing out of the ordinary, just helmets and shorts. So there's nothing where you can use that as a barometer and say, well, this is why the Eagles practice this way. It's not true. He was not hurt in full gear. He was hurt in helmets and shorts. Okay? So that's out. Like I said, please hit the like button. We appreciate it. I'm going to make this point to you here, guys. And you tell me if you agree or disagree. I think that the 2-5 start of last year did more harm to the development of Jalen Hurts as a quarterback than anything they did all last year with their non-preparation and preparing for the opening of the season. You think that's true or not? When they tried to put that kid in a position to throw the ball 35 times a game, it was a colossal failure. Some would go like this. Well, there were less talented players on the offense. Really? Still had the fifth best tight end in the league. As a matter of fact, he still had Zach Ertz on the team. Wasn't Ertz on the team at the beginning of last year? Yeah, the first-round draft choice in Devontae Smith. And don't tell me, well, he's a first-year guy, because the first-year guy in Cincinnati had 1,500 yards. Okay? Don't tell me Devontae couldn't put up – we all agreed Devontae, with a better quarterback, puts up 1,500 yards if he's with a better guy that throws the ball to him. You tell me. That start last year, by having them not prepare for the upcoming season, did more harm in his development than anything they did. Because what happened after 2-5? The coordinator changed. They took the ball out of his hands and put it on the O-line's hands. He didn't develop last year as the passer. They were 27th. That's coaching. They thought they were going to put that square peg in that round hole. Again, I'm not talking Jalen here. I'm talking the coaching staff here. I started the program out with Gannon trying to use Hassan Reddick as a drop-back linebacker. And now I'm saying that 2-5 start last year, albeit healthy, was not productive. You didn't develop Jalen Hurts. How many people think Jalen Hurts developed as a passer in the NFL last year? I clearly don't. Now you're doing the same stuff. Their notion is he got better and he's going to get better in organized scrimmages and on Zoom. He doesn't have the same skill set as Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or any of them guys. Those guys are pure passers. Hurts is not. He's the same dude that he was in college. He is. I don't see anything different. That's a great comment, Daz. Hey, Xander, do you think Daz's comment right there is right? You think Jalen's the same guy he was when he was in Alabama? Interesting. A little bit better passer. I think Lincoln Riley worked with him. Okay? I think Lincoln Riley worked with him more. I go back and he was very inaccurate at Alabama. I don't know. Daz, I think he's better. I think Riley did a nice job in Norman with him. I wouldn't say that. Hey, Dan, why does the new NFL think they don't have to practice as hard as they have to? Brian, I think that works in some places. Allison says that when Josh Allen came out, he wasn't a pure passer. I completely disagree with that. I watched him at Wyoming. If you watched him in his junior year, he was. He didn't have a very good senior year when he had lesser talent at Wyoming, and he had worse coaching. Josh Allen is getting the best coaching he's ever had in his career in Buffalo, not in college or in high school. I think the difference with Josh Allen has been completely the teachers around him. And you're putting players around him. Stephon Diggs, you're putting other wideouts. You're building a defense. You're building an O-line. You're building a running game now behind him because you don't want him to be your leading rusher every game. Isn't it funny? Buffalo's trying to take the carries away from Josh Allen, and Philly's going to rely on him still. Go figure. Mike, appreciate you coming aboard. GT says, I'm not going to sit here and say that the kid won't get better. I think he's gotten better, bro. Okay, I do. I think I don't think that's a fair comment that Daz had about him as the same in college. He definitely got better in Oklahoma. And he's definitely better now today than he was at Oklahoma. So I think that's, I mean, I wouldn't say a ton. Allison, Allison, he had the skill set. Now he's getting the coaching. Hey, you got great coaches around you, and you got patient coaches around you. You're going to win a lot of games. Patience. Man. I mean, how many times do you not see that with organizations not having patience? See, front office people don't have patience. Coaches do. But when the front office gets in the way of the coaching, that's when everything goes to hell in a handbasket. You can always tell the organizations who don't have the patience. That usually means that the front office is running the ship. That's what you got in Philly. Okay? Get this. Let's all be fair about the Eagles. Howie didn't like the direction of the team, so he blew out the coach and the quarterback. He started over again. He's building it with a less than quarterback who's on a decent, great contract, actually. And he's building it from the perimeter in. He's already got the offensive line, which, hey, kudos to him. They found the talent. They found the coaching talent. That's on him, too. He gets the credit for that. Stoutland is his call, I'm assuming. And all the guys that were picked through Stoutland's observation, dude, I said this to you yesterday about the Eagles. The Eagles have 7 deep O-line. Do you know how many teams don't have 2 quality starters on their O-line? The Bengals didn't have 2 dudes that were worth the shit last year. And they went all the way to the Super Bowl with that. Eagles have 7 guys that could start in the NFL anywhere on any team. That's unprecedented. Nobody has 7 O-linemen. It's the deepest unit in the league. By far. By far. You have a catastrophic injury outside of the center. Well, no, you went out and got the kid, Kerrigan. You went out and got him. What's the kid's name? Jorgensen? Excuse me. Kerrigan. He just retired. My bad. I mean, they're deep all over the place. I don't know if Kelly brought in Stoutland. That's got to go through. Yeah, but the head coach doesn't have as much say in Philadelphia when it comes to hiring. Well, maybe Chip did. I don't know. Wow, Chip hired him? Phew. Who would have thought the only thing that Chip Kelly did that was a savior for the Eagles was hiring Jeff Stoutland? Hey, he played like Nancy Kerrigan with the Eagles. He was good in Washington, though, man. He was. I'm going to get to the Giants 2022 here in a minute. But do you guys agree that 2-5 start was counterproductive in Jalen Hurts' development as a quarterback? It set him back. Instead of gradually going along and sticking to the strengths. See, this goes into what I'm saying to you about Jonathan Gannon right now. Jonathan Gannon wants to take Hassan Reddick and drop him in coverage. Last year, Sirianni wanted to throw the ball 38 times. Instead of doing this, well, let's stick to our strength. Run the ball and gradually build the passing game. They didn't want to do that. They had that fool's gold of a game in Atlanta and said, hey, we could do it. Turned out to be a disaster with that philosophy. Then they go, whoa. GT goes, I think we learned about that, Sills. I think they learned. You think? So you don't think you think with $100 million wide receiver out there, they're not going to try to throw the ball 30 times in that first game against Detroit? I think the temptation not to be patient is going to be in that coaching staff's earpieces all in that Detroit game. I don't think they're patient enough because you know why? They're still green. I think A.J. Brown, in my opinion, too tempting not to do the right thing. The right thing is to run the ball. We know that. The right thing to do is to run the ball. It's not to throw the ball 35 times. 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs. You look like a ballet routine after a while. Then you got to rely on your defense that you just retooled and rebuilt. To have everybody hit on all cylinders is asking an awful lot. How many new guys do you have on defense at one time during a game in that Lions game coming up? Let's take a look at that. New corner. Shit, you could have 2 new linebackers. I hear that they're playing Nakobe Dean outside. So Kaiser White, Nakobe Dean. You could have Jordan Davis inside. You got Hassan Reddick. You're going to have 5 of the 11 guys are going to be new dudes, and you're telling me all 5 guys are going to have superstar years. Asking a lot again. And in a system that you're not confident in because the defensive coordinator you're not sure of. Boy. And you're going to have 3 and outs. You know how you stop that? You run the ball. But I don't think they're going to. Again, that's an observation. You know why? You spent $100 million. You drafted a guy in the first round. You got too much If you got off of Jimmy Garoppolo because you had to make the play to go to Trey Lance because you surrendered 3 first-rounders to the Miami Dolphins to get up in that spot to get Lance, what do you think the Eagle philosophy is going to be? Well, we got a $100 million guy here, and we got a first-round draft. You think the temptation is going to be to pass or run? Right? Who cares? It's the Lions. They're not exactly an offensive juggernaut. Well, they beat you in running back. Their quarterback is more accomplished than yours. They got the 3rd best line offensively, according to Pro Football Focus. That DeAndre Swift kid, in my opinion, is going to lead all running backs in the NFL this year in pass catching. And I think he's going to get 1,400 yards this year. Jamison Williams is not going to be there. You're right. It's not a juggernaut, but the quarterback has done more than anything Jalen has ever done. Guy won an NFC. Man, wasn't like he blew out loud totally. Their issues are more on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think they're totally terrible either. Hey, Dan, what would you think is easier, running the ball for 10 yards or passing the ball? Well, look what the Eagles did last year. They killed teams at the point of attack last year. Same team, 44-6. So you think you're going to throw the ball against – okay, why are you only favored by 3.5 then, according to Vegas? Vegas, they're rarely wrong, dude. There's a reason they build castles in Las Vegas. It ain't because they lose money. They're the true analysts in sports, my friends, because they put their money up. And right now it's 3.5. That tells me a lot. I don't know. Game 3.5. Underdogs to the Eagles. They're expecting that game to be close. Because it's the first game? I thought it was the Lions. How do you go from 12 of 15 in practice, 4 touchdowns, to 8 of 15, 0 TDs, and 2 picks? GG Meta, I'm not going to really sit here and dog the guy on 8 of 15 for 2 picks today and sit here and go like this and laugh at the 12 of 15 for 4 touchdowns too, because that's a joke too. They're practice stats. Who cares? It's not a big thing. It's a stupid comment. That guy, Pauly Shore, that puts that on his website, it's a propaganda tweet that Jalen is here, and it doesn't matter. That's like telling me exhibition football games matter when it comes to score and one loss. What, did Lions win every game last year in the exhibition season? Come on, man. I'm not dogging anybody. I don't give a shit about practice stats. PP goes, yeah, 3 and 13 is terrifying. Keep having that mentality. You sound like you got a quarterback that can throw yourself out of. You ain't got that guy, dude. Destroy the Lions? Okay. Destroy the Lions. Oh, this is going to be hey, Xander, this is going to be such a fun season. I can't wait. That team's not capable of really destroying too many teams because they don't have an air offense. Let's get to the Giants here. Let's take a look at the New York Giants. NFC East, New York Giants. By the way, like I said, you play them in Week 14 and in Week 18. At one time, this organization used to be the model of consistency and patience. Always had a long-term plan. You can count on the Giants and Wellington Mayer and Jerry Reese to have a plan for the Giants. And they did. Tom Coughlin by the way, getting rid of Tom Coughlin, how's that panned out? And Jerry Reese. The Giants for 10 years have not been relevant. And it's because of the lack of leadership that you have with John Mayer, who I like a lot. You know my relationship. I've had John on my radio show numerous times. But that plan and that consistency and patience has totally gone away. They end up bringing in a new general manager, Joe Schoenen from Buffalo, and Brian Daboll, the new head coach, also from Buffalo. I think Brian Daboll is a great coordinator, yet to be determined whether or not he turns into a head football coach. I think that transition is harder than you think. If it's a transition for players that go from college to the pros, the transition from head coach or from coordinator to head coach is also a transition. Bill Parcells talks about it all the time. Nick Sirianni went through a little bit of that last year. You know, being a position coach or being a coordinator, it's a far cry from being a head coach. You're more of a delegator. You're more of an administrator. You've got more things to be concerned about. There's more time that you have to take with special teams and all kinds of things. And that plays a factor. So will Brian Daboll be a good coach? Yet to be determined. He brings a great system with him, and the Giants are going to need it. Team he takes over, Daboll, salary cap mess, was a mash unit a year ago. Quarterback questions, all the things that line up to be a disastrous season in 2022, especially when you're going through a transition. Major concerns on the O-line. There's about 2 dudes in that O-line that are decent. They do have some weapons. Barkley, Galladay, Sterling Shepard. There's some players there. But again, it's going to come down to the quarterback. And Daniel Jones, in my opinion, can Brian Daboll save him the same way Sean McVay? See, you got to look at it this way. Look at it this way, okay? If Sean McVay could save Jared Goff, can Brian Daboll save Daniel Jones? We've seen it happen. Okay? We've seen it happen where a coach comes in and a coach saves a quarterback's career. McVay did it. Toilet says Jalen is still learning how to be a pro. This should be his leap year. Oh, they didn't help him at all last year. He did not develop last year one bit. There wasn't anywhere he developed as a passing quarterback last year. The only thing he developed in, when he says that too, this is a second year in the system. Is it? How can Jalen Hurts? You know what's crazy? How many guys heard that comment? Xander, tell me I'm right when I'm saying this. There was a press conference, and Jalen Hurts says that, hey, this is the second year in this system. What system? Which one? The 2-5 one? Or the second half of the season? What system is he talking about? Because at the beginning of the year last year, they put the ball in his hands, throw it. Then when they were 2-5, they took it out of his hands. So what system exactly is he talking about? There were two different fundamental ideologies last year. They threw the ball early, then they ran the ball late. What system is he talking about? Which one? Oh, the second half. So it wasn't a full system. And by the way, in the second half of that season last year, he was very limited as a passer. He didn't know where to go to put the ball. So he took off. Am I wrong? One way to win with Hurts is having short yardage passing. Booza, that to me is the key essential part to this. Okay? That's a lot of money and a high draft pick for wide receiver 1 and 2 to use the same system. That's what Xander's thoughts are on that. The same system as the second half, where he didn't throw the ball, barely. They ran the ball 30 times a game. So how many targets is A.J. Brown going to get? 6? You paid a guy $25 million to throw the ball to him 6 times? What system is he talking about? First half? Second half? Jesus, I hope there's somewhere in the middle there. And more leaning towards the running, but it won't be because they won't be patient. I'm telling you something. I'm more concerned about the coaching staff than I am about the players that are on the roster. Do you guys agree? It gets to a point when you have a lot of talent on the team and you might not have the right leader in the clubhouse. Do you agree? It might be that. Spent all this money, all these assets, all of this. And you might not have the right guy. Because I can't tell what system he's talking about. Let me finish up with the Giants here. Kayvon Thibodeau, number 5, they end up drafting him. By the way, I like that kid Leonard Williams, too, that plays in the defensive front. I do. I mean, I think they bring in Winkdale or somebody like that. I think they bring in him in as D coordinator. I can't remember how to say his name right. I think he was in Baltimore. And he was their D coordinator. Puts a lot of stress on their secondary, which I don't really think they have a lot of help in their secondary. Look, this is going to – they averaged 15 points a game last year. Pathetic and awful and the worst in the league. And I think the Giants have a lot to figure out here. The Giants right now are in a swamp, and it's in the Meadowlands, right there on 16W. Okay? Right there on 16W. They built the stadium in a swamp. And the Giants have been in the swamp for 10 years, and they'll be there this year. They have no plan, no long-term plan, and it's in a transition. Not good in New York. Wink Martindale, that's it. Thank you very much, Witch. That's who the D coordinator is now in okay. That's the D coordinator now with the Giants. Hey, Joseph, I think it's chaos there. I think it's chaos. I've seen Jeff Lurie hire a stiff at coach. Andy Reid, Doug were nobodies when they first got hired, and they were A1 hires. You're pushing this dumbass narrative? Hey, Flex, they fired both them guys too. They fired both them guys. Great decision. So you think you made an upgrade from Doug Peterson to Nick Sirianni? You think that's an upgrade? I haven't seen that yet. And Doug Peterson was a nobody. Were you saying that? You guys were probably saying that after Wentz went down and your season was totally shit and over with in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. I bet you everybody in Philly was going, it's over. What did he do? Rallied the troops? Sold belief in the locker room? And it all accumulated with the Philly special. A player coming over to the sidelines with confidence in his coach that his coach is going to go ahead, run it. Against the GOAT. I'm sure you guys were really crowing and clowning Doug Peterson then. Okay? Very few coaches have the sack to do that. Brian goes, Dan, who would you hire for the Eagles coaching staff? I get an experienced defensive coordinator like Nick Fangio. I need more experience on that side because I have more turnover on that side. Why do you think Dan Quinn turned out to be somebody? Because you know why? Dan Quinn is an innovator. Mike Nolan is stuck in the past. That's why it didn't work. Dan Quinn, he was up in Seattle and he understood it with Carroll and how you moved interchangeable pieces around. So I need experience on that side of the ball, not training wheels defensive coordinators who are coming out today and telling me I'm going to drop Hassan Reddick in coverage. Ask Dan Quinn how he feels about that with Micah Parsons. I heard they're going to limit that. That's who I would hire first. And as my offensive coordinator, I'm going to hire a guy who failed as a head coach. You know why? Traditionally, those guys are great coordinators. I'll take a Matt Nagy as my coordinator. Those guys are all great coordinators. They're just sorry-ass NFL head coaches. When you look at Wade Phillips is one of the greatest defensive coaches in history. By the way, why do you think a very young Sean McVay hired the oldest coach that was out there, but the most experienced, and he brought him to a Super Bowl? Then as McVay got his feet wet, he brought in another head coach that was in the NFL at one time, in Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris was the head coach of the Buccaneers back in the day. Funny, he's the defensive coordinator with the Rams. All failure coaches in the NFL are great coordinators. That hasn't changed. That would be my selection tree. Not guys I never heard of. They all are good coordinators. It's how they get elevated or in opportunities to interview for those jobs. CT Philly goes, come on, Sills, Matt Nagy. Yeah. Why? Guy was a good coordinator, man. Guy's a great coordinator. There's nothing wrong with him. Look at Jim Schwartz you had as your D coordinator in Philadelphia. He was marginal as a head coach in Detroit. The guy was a good defensive coordinator, though, wasn't he? Jim Schwartz was a good DC, wasn't he, for you? Right? Just saying. Don't be afraid. Don't look at a guy's name if he failed as a head coach. that you wouldn't want him on your coaching staff. Those are the first guys you look at. Well, he sucked as a head coach. Okay. Well, he was really a great. How do you think Todd Bowles got that job? Todd Bowles is a great D coordinator. Bruce Arians had no issues hiring a guy who bombed in New York with the Jets. Now he's the head coach of the Buccaneers. Todd Bowles is a good coordinator. You guys never thought of that? Oh, so he sucks as a head coach. He sucks as a coach. That's not necessarily the truth. Let me rank these quarterbacks in the East. I want to get to that. I appreciate everybody coming aboard. Don't forget my friends over at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free. Look, if you're hurt or injured on the job, hiring an attorney is one of the most important things that you could possibly do for you and your family. And Morgan & Morgan has been doing this now for over 30 years, $13.5 billion worth of compensation that they've gotten for their clients. They're the biggest firm in the country, and there's no such thing as a fender bender at Morgan & Morgan, okay? 800 attorneys strong in offices in Philly, New York, and in Florida. They intimidate people. They will not be intimidated. That's who Morgan & Morgan is. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The call is free. Consultation is free. 800-512-1600. Open 24/7, 7 days a week. And when you call them, do me a favor. Tell them Dan Sileo sent you.
After a car crash, the big insurance companies you see advertising on TV, they may try to downplay your case and might say it's only a fender bender or it's just a herniated disc. I worry that some law firms fall for this BS. Not us. We put ourselves in your shoes and ask, what would it be like to be in your pain for the rest of our lives? $1 million wouldn't be enough for me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Appreciate everybody coming aboard on this Football Friday. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. I saw what you said, Joseph. Sileo's making it sound like Doug Peterson didn't suck here his last time he was coaching the Eagles. Well, yeah, when your general manager sabotages your team, what'd you expect it to be? Constantly meddling, getting in the way, handing him the active and inactives for the Sunday game? Having a cow with Carson Wentz because he didn't go back in that Seattle game? Sabotaging the final game of the season by playing some stiff in Sudfeld, even over Jalen Hurts. And you had the whole entire roster sitting there on the sidelines going, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, you're right. He did suck his last year, 4-11-1. Your general manager also sucked, and he didn't help. He was sabotaging your football team because he didn't like the fact that Doug was getting credit for winning the Super Bowl. Let's put it out there, guys. Don't act like that wasn't going on and there was a power struggle inside the organization. And that's why they hired a no-name guy in Nick Sirianni, because he wouldn't give him shit. You're making it, I hate how people tiptoe around that. You got Nick Sirianni in there because it's the least amount of resistance for Howie's best formula for success. Plain and simple. That's how he looked at it. Come on. Seals, would you rather have Peterson or Sean Payton? I don't know. Sean Payton's 9-7 in the postseason. What makes him any different than Mike McCarthy? McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers. Sean Payton had Drew Brees, and they won one Super Bowl. I don't know. The media loves Sean Payton, though, don't they? They make him seem like he's some sort of like revolutionary guy. He had Drew Brees, and he won one Super Bowl. Congratulations, guy. You underachieved in New Orleans. Sean Payton's a great coach. How? Where? Where do you see that? Because Drew Brees kept that thing afloat? You think that was all Payton? Come on, man. Are you crazy? Why isn't his record better? I see Mike McCarthy when I see Sean Payton. You want to know what a great coach is? How about Joe Gibbs? Mark Rippon, Joe Theismann. Who was the other guy? Doug Williams. Guy won Super Bowls with 3 different dudes. And not really your greatest guys. Even though I love my boy Doug Williams. Come on, man. That's a coach. Doug Peterson taking a substitute teacher across the finish line, that's freaking coaching. Who do you think did a better job of coaching in the Super Bowl run? Doug Peterson or Sean Payton? Let me think. Well, your MVP candidate goes down. They bring in a guy who was a backup, and they win the game, and he's the MVP, and he beat the GOAT. I don't know. Sounds like a pretty damn good job of coaching to me. Oh, wait, that's Howie, right? Okay. Should have kept it. No way, CT. There'd still be a power struggle going on. By the way, it was sabotaged by your GM. It totally was. Head coach had one way he wanted to do it. The GM had another way, and the players felt it and saw it, and they reacted to it. 4-11-1. How do you go from having a football team like you did in 17 to sucking out loud and sabotaging a coach at the end of the year? How did you go from that? Meddling. Usually when you see something unravel, it's kind of a slow death kind of unraveling. Shit, in Philly, you guys were thrown off the top of a building. Bang. Thing felt like a rock. Dude, that's Philly special is my favorite Super Bowl play of all time. Foles comes over to the sidelines, looks at Doug, and Doug goes, go ahead. I mean, dude, that clip is so awesome. Nick Foles basically called his own plays that game. The coach has to feel comfortable with that and giving you the preparation to be in that position, dude. And explain this to me. Every place that Foles is going, he's blown. Coaching. Here, he gets Doug Marrone in Jacksonville. I don't know. I like Doug. Then he goes up to Chicago, where they've never had a quarterback since Sid Luckman. Coaching. So who would you replace right now in the organization? I wouldn't replace Howie. I wouldn't give Howie as much autonomy, though, over the coaching staff and Sundays. He's got to get away from that. Doug fought him every week on that. That's why they won, too. Doug's a strong personality. I know Doug Peterson well. You think Nick had to beg to get Zach Pascal in the building. This year's coming down to the coaching. I'm not as down on Jalen now after I thought about all this. Okay? Actually talking and realizing after I heard that Gannon wants to drop Hassan Reddick. And some of you go like this. Well, Sills, he'll be pass rushing 90% of the time. My friends, 5 plays make the difference in every NFL game. You fight for inches in that game when they're close like that. One play, one screen pass, one over-the-top tight end touchdown pass because you got a guy covering a tight end that's not his skill set. That's the difference in a ball game. This is not college football where you're favored by 70 to beat Eagle Creek University. Hey, Sills, look, I said it. Hey, Joseph, the guy has done, and you know what I love what Xander showed me? Xander shows me this. He goes like this. Hey, man, did such a great job. Why is there still $5.5 million of Alshon Jeffrey's money still on the 2022 salary cap for the Eagles? That's a good point. The only reason that they can sign these guys like A.J. Brown, do you know why you could sign A.J. Brown and Hassan Reddick and Kaiser White and James Bradbury? Do you know why you can sign them? Because Jalen makes $1.1 million. It's the only reason you could sign those guys. It's the only reason. You think you're going to sign them dudes and you think you're going to spend the money that you need to spend if Jalen Hurts is making $37 million? No way. Not in your life. No team would. No team is. Well, unless you're the Rams. Right? Unless you're the Rams. Dude, I don't know where the Rams. Okay? I don't know where the Rams get that. They use a different credit card. Sills, can JSS and Len get together with this receivers after practice and throw? That's a good question. I'm going to look that up, dude. Adams, I don't know if that's against CBA because Brady's always working with Mike Evans and the wide receiving core in in Tampa after practice. So I don't know. There could be some restrictions on that. I don't think you can have organized practices. I think maybe that's got to kind of be on your own because I think the new collective bargaining agreement kind of dictates that. Teams are getting fined like $300,000 if you have excessive practices and they're organized by coaches. So I'll check on that. I don't know the exact language on that, but I'll look it up. Who was more responsible for the Bucs Super Bowl, Brady or Arians? Well, who do you think? Hey, Jeremiah, the Rams have these crazy bank accounts, don't they? PP, I would say this to you about Arians. I love Bruce. Bruce was able to listen. The no risk it, no biscuit offense that he had with Jameis Winston was tailored down to dink and dunking, tight end, once or twice over the top, and they compromised. And Byron Leftwich and him took over. And you got to give it to Bruce. Bruce really did a great job with Bowles and with Byron Leftwich, allowing them to have the autonomy to put these game plans together. Now, he may have gone in there and suggested some things, but Bruce Arians is a guy who's an empowering coach who allows his coaches to coach. And by the way, do you ever hear Jason Light's name ever being brought up, the general manager of the Buccaneers, when it comes to Sundays like you do in Philly? Jason Light has nothing to do with Byron Leftwich or Todd Bowles. Or for that matter, Bruce Arians. But in Philly, that works that way. Why? I don't want my coach, you know what? I don't want my head coach during the regular season to have to answer to my GM for anything. We'll do that at the end of the year and in the offseason. But my game day situations and my game day decisions on winning ball games comes down between my assistant coaches and my players. I don't want to have a freaking Monday meeting on why we only scored 23 points in a win to suffice people for whatever reason. I would have told you to kiss my ass and left the bill. I wouldn't have showed up for them meetings. We win and you question me? Kiss my ass. Not answering questions on that. There's no beauty pageant points for winning by 30 versus winning by 3 in the NFL. This is not college football where you have to have impressive wins. Okay? This is not like the Bowl Alliance thing where you have to have, well, this team beat this team by 38 and this beat this team by 15. What a stupid mentality in Philly. How can you have a stupider mentality than to question a coach on a win on a Monday press conference or a meeting on a Monday with your coach on why you only won by 3? I'd be like, what? Why'd your first round draft choice suck? That's what I'd start barking back. Yeah, it'd be great if I had Rager, who was decent, or Justin Jefferson, I mean. Nice pick there, boss. Right? Or the Barnetts of the world. Hey, explain this to me, Howie. How come that guy's got more penalties than sacks? Oh, yeah. So you want to start questioning? I would have got into a pissing match. Well, if I had another wide receiver, the game probably would have been a little bit better looking. But since you didn't give it to me, I'm sure that's how it ended. I'm sure that's how that relationship ended. Questioning me about winning ball games. How over the top is that? I wouldn't fire Howie Roseman, but the owner allows that guy just to wreak havoc. Nobody in Philly's going to talk like that. What I'm saying to you, it's true. Have you ever seen a general manager sabotage the season more than what that guy did a couple of years ago with that 4-11-1 year? Have you ever seen a guy sabotage the season more? And a coach. And a quarterback, for that matter. Patience. Long-term plan. All of that. There's no patience in Philly. That's how I would have ended it. Even Belichick screws up first rounders. You see what PP does? He looks at the N'Keal Harrys of the world. See that? He looks at the N'Keal Harrys and doesn't do this. Deion Branch. You ever heard of him? Was a Super Bowl MVP. You ever heard of him? Danny Amendola. You ever heard of him? He was a nobody in college. Edelman was a nobody in college. Wes Welker was a special teams guy who was first traded from the Chargers to the Dolphins that Belichick liked, and they made into a 900-catch slot receiver. But you'll take N'Keal Harry. Gotta love it. We're the city of process. Really? You're not patient. You fired your head coach. You fired your quarterback. You fired Andy Reid. Patience? Were you patient with T.O. and McNabb too? You let that thing unravel and light itself on fire. The players lit that on fire and no one stepped in. Where was the GM and the owner then to come in between? You know, you got to give Bob Kraft a lot of credit in New England because you know what he did? For a relationship that was as contentious between Brady and Belichick, lasted 20 years and 6 titles, 9 AFC championships. Do you know that every other year that Tom Brady was a starting quarterback in New England, he went to the Super Bowl? That's unbelievable. McNabb's fault. No, it's the owner and the GM and the coach's fault. Someone's got to be in charge. Bitter towards the GM? No. No. Cassandra, McNabb was a great player, but a shitty teammate. I check off on that. Bob, when are you getting Howie on the show? Howie doesn't like anybody asking him direct questions. Watch one of those press conferences. Watch an Eagle press conference and tell me if anybody asks him direct questions. You know, here, that's a funny. Hey, you know what, Xander? Here's Sills asking Howie a question. Do you think the limited preparation is helpful to the development of Jalen Hurts as a quarterback in the NFL? Why won't anyone ask that question to Sirianni? I've never heard that question asked. Howie, do you have say on Thursdays on who's active and who's not active for Sunday's games? You don't hear that. You don't hear that. How many meetings a week does Nick Sirianni have with you on game day preparation? You don't hear that. How much meddling goes on with the front office during training camp? I don't want to talk to those guys. Go get me players, dude. That's your job. Your job is not to evaluate my guys once you get them. Once you get the 90 guys on my field, it's up to the coach. You know what? I love so much what Kevin Colbert used to say on this show, and he's been on our show a bunch of times, the former general manager of the Steelers. I work with the head coach. The head coach doesn't work for me. And together, I say this to him. Even Bill Polian, if you listen to him in the past, he asked Tony Dungy, when Dungy was fired in Tampa, and he asked him immediately, what kind of player you want? Give me a Tony Dungy player. A great general manager is a profiler, like an FBI guy. What is the one type? Look at Belichick's players. You know those Chris Hogans of the world and the Amendolas and the Edelmans? Those guys don't fit anywhere else. Nobody would evaluate those guys the way New England does because those are Belichick type of guys. The Vrabels of the world, the Teddy Bruschies of the world. Those guys don't play anywhere else. They fit into that guy's culture and how he sees you. When you're a coach in Philly, you coach Howie's guys. When you're in New England, you're being coached by the coach, Belichick. Seattle. Pittsburgh, places like that. These new general managers, and by the way, I don't think that's just isolated to Philly. I think that's more isolated around the league now. That front offices in this analytical conversation, I think it's really taken over the NFL. And that's not in a good way. You look around the league and see how many players don't get developed. Like I said, last year when the Eagles were 2-5, that was more destructive to Jalen Hurts' ability to be a quarterback in this league than anything they did last year. You asked a kid who was not proficient and accurate to go out there and throw the ball 35 times because you started off against Atlanta and thought it was fool's gold, that this kid could do it. Then you went to your strength. You know what that's called? Surrendering an ideology you thought you had, and you had to surrender what you wanted to do for plan B. The Eagles went 9-8 on plan B last year, not plan A. Plan A was throwing the ball. Am I right or am I wrong? Hour 3, hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community, a sports roundup for the locals, and the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Hour 3, Big Sil's National Football Show. You should have seen yesterday, man. So at the end of the program, Xander goes like this. Sills, hey, man, why don't you pop on Birds in the morning? It's like, yeah, man, no problem. Yeah, man, no problem. Yeah. So I'm laying in bed, right? I for whatever reason, and I always he knows this too. He knows this. I have my phone on all the time. So for whatever reason, man, the phone gets turned over and the pillow is on it. I wake up. I was supposed to do it like an hour earlier. Hey, I'm ready to go. Show's over, kid. Don't worry. And I'm going, I've never done that, man. He goes, hey, Big Cells, this is the second time here. Man is only as good as his work. I'm like, you're out of your mind, man. Holy cow. So, yeah, Greg, bringing the wood today. Maybe that's why, because I slept through a hit I was supposed to do this morning. I don't know, man. Sills, you told me, man, we got that Italian blood in us in here, Hoss. We learned a lesson today, gentlemen. That's not true. It's not true. I owe him. I told him I owe him now. So, hey, Sills, what's going on in Oxnard? Jerry Jones is running the ship into the ground. Or no, Jerry Jones is running the Cowboys into an iceberg. That's what he's doing. Anytime I see the owner, first voice, on the first day of a training camp, they'll never win. They'll never win. Yeah. Hey, and did I hear Jerry Jones drop a midget bomb too in his press conference? Wow. Dude, when you got FU money and you could say words like that in today's society and nobody say anything, I don't know, man. I heard my wife goes like this. Did he use the M? I go, yeah. Going to have to get me another one of them little short. He said the M, right? Oh, hey, GT, I was like, my wife goes, did he say that? And I go, yeah, but when you got FU money and you're the owner of the Cowboys, nobody cares. Yeah, he said that, GG. That first press conference, it was on the NFL Network too, and nobody, yeah, you're like, come on, dog. Dude, with today's cancel culture, you can't be dropping them things like that. I was like, wow, man, it must be great to have $70 billion. I know, man. Hurts lovers go all facts, not delusion. You'll realize you love a person for his personality. Of course, people hate Aaron Rodgers, but would love him as their quarterback. Dude, Aaron Rodgers looks like he's the lead singer of the Eagles, right? This guy's looking like he's ready to play Hotel California for me. Plenty of rooms at the Hotel California. Here comes Aaron Rodgers, man, out of his Porsche. I was like, look at this guy. Holy Jesus. I go, that guy wears a thong. That guy wears a spaghetti thong, man. You can't look like that, man. I mean, I was embarrassed for him, actually. Oh, man, yeah, it was slow motion coming up to you, man. Like, I was like, damn, dude, this guy, okay, I don't know. Seriously, man, that guy wears a spaghetti thong. Little panel on it. He's probably got a flower, too, right above his drawers. I don't know. Yeah, Joe Walsh, man. Yeah, it's better. I was like, dude, who is this guy? That's my quarterback. But watch this. Well, I don't care what he looks like. If he throws the ball like that and he plays like that, bro, I don't care what he looks like. Okay? Honestly, he could look like RuPaul. I don't care. Jeremiah goes, Sills, that's not a visual I'm interested in. I wasn't interested in to see the guy coming out with the Italian T-shirt. By the way, you're a little too hairy, too, guy. Nobody likes to see an Italian guy or the Italian T-shirt like that and the hair everywhere. It looks like you're getting ready to put pasta fazool together or make sauce. I don't know. Yeah, Nicolas Cage. He did. He looked like Nicolas Cage. What was that, Con Air? Yeah, he looked like Nicolas Cage in Con Air. That's great, GT. Yeah, it was like the guy going, well, we're just going to have to land a plane. Nicolas Cage trying to play a Southern guy. Oh, okay, that worked. Wife beater? We're in the land of not saying that any longer. And you know where I wanted to go with the Italian t-shirt, but I'm not in the land of that anymore. I can't wait to say that. That's it to a Packer fan. And, hey, we're ready to land the plane. He's talking to John Malkovich like this guy's from, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. How you doing? Yeah, I beat up a guy and I spent 5 years. I was like, is that Nicolas Cage? And that was when Aaron Rodgers got out of his car, here comes Nicolas Cage. He knew the cameras were on him, too. What a fish. I mean it, man. I was like, oh, my God, is that disgusting? How can a guy look like that? I mean, dude, you're a football player. Act like it. We'll call it a tank top. Thank you, Adam. Cameron Poe. That's it. That's his name in that flick. It's it. I actually love that movie, too, dude. I love the psycho guy that's in there, like the mass murderer had the mask on his face. Buscemi was in that thing, right? I like it. Like Vince Wilfork. Had some big-ass dudes on that. Dan, if you're running the Philadelphia Eagles, would you practice longer than their practice right now? Brian, how I would practice? Watch this. If you want to limit your practice, don't limit your contact practices. Limit those stupid. What's the guy's name? Elliot Pauly Shores. Oh, he was. What was the stats today? What was the stats today? He was 8 of 15 with 2 picks, no touchdowns. Day before he was 12 of 15, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Hey, dude, stop that shit. I don't care about those practices. Helmets and shorts. And by the way, one more time, like I said in the first hour, Ryan Jensen was hurt in helmets and shorts. There was nothing special going on. He hurt his knee in helmets and shorts too. But here's the Eagle philosophy. Hey, I don't want to get anybody hurt. Dude, what do you think this is? Ping pong? This is pro football. People get hurt in this game. Well, we don't want anybody hurt. So we're not going to be as prepared. And we're going to start the season slow again. Good night. Look at Teddy B when he tore his Achilles. Non-contact, right, Keith? Keith, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that non-contact in Minnesota? They were in helmets and shorts too, right? Blew his Achilles out and blew a tendon out, if I'm not mistaken. Think Baker will be good this year? I do. I think Baker won't be starting, though. I think Baker probably gets that job after week 4 because there's going to be a big hook down there in Carolina. 8 of 15. No, Smile. Hey, Smile, if I goof on the 12 of 15 for 4 touchdowns, I'm going to goof on the, what is it? 8 of 15 and 1 pick or 2 picks. Who cares? They're not quality reps. Who cares, man? What, do you think he's going to be perfect? They may be asking him to do something. I'm not going to rip it. He's throwing off his back foot. Raise your hand if you like Howie. Okay, look at Manster. Raise your hand if you like Howie. It's not here. It's kind of here. I'm like right, maybe below my ear. Okay. Do I like Les Snead in Los Angeles? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Do I like the Castro in Baltimore? Oh, yeah. Do I like those guys? I'm right here with Howie. You know why I'm right here with Howie? Howie likes to get into your shit. You ever had a brother or somebody that goes through your stuff? And you look down and you're like, who the hell's been going through my office? Where's my slide ruler? Where the hell are my notes that I had on my desk? And, I moved them. You moved them? What? Don't touch my desk. Oh, I can touch your desk because I'm the GM. These are my notes. Yeah, but it's my team. Oh. That's what you got in Philly. You're not firing Howie. No way. Do you like Bob White at Penn State? Bob White was a good football player. Bob White was a fine ball player. Is he a preacher now, or was that the other guy on the other end? He's a good football player, man. They had a good defense too. Penn State had a good defense during my time. Howie ate some of his butter pecan. We wouldn't be so far behind if we had a person that could pick talent. Well, the last 2 drafts have been good. Free agency and trades have worked out. Look, signing Hassan Reddick, we'll see how that plans out. I think it will. The Darius Slay pickup from Detroit has played well for the defense. And I would say that, look, A.J. Brown is going to be an impactful player on the Eagles. It just depends on the quarterback. Sill's brother lost the list of the day. I don't have a list today. Man, when you got this much stuff going on, 8 to 15 hour practice, Jonathan Gannon has, hey, did you hear the new news today? Listen. Hey, Xander. Hey, Xander goes like this. Hey, Sills, whatever list you got, I guarantee you Hurts and Gannon are last. Get this. This is just in. We have a new revolutionary defense that we're going to take Hassan Reddick, and he's going to cover tight ends instead of rushing the passer. Yes, sir. I stood up all night last night. This was a story, too, that JAKIB Sports contributor Jeff Kerr wrote. That there's a new way that Gannon last night, over his Fruit Loops, he's sitting around eating a bowl of Fruit Loops, and he came up and said, I got to figure out another way to keep this guy on the field. So he's going to cover guys like Travis Kelce, Kittles of the world. I got just the guy, man. 6'1", 247. Derrick Henry's bigger. Derrick Henry. Hey, so like when Reddick is going to be wait a minute. Wait a minute. So in week 13, Hassan Reddick's going to cover Derrick Henry out of the backfield. Henry 6'4", 260. He's going to cover him coming out of the backfield. Here, let's take a look at this one too. So Hassan Reddick is going to cover Jonathan Taylor in week 11. Yeah, I don't. How about even Saquon Barkley? So, in week 17, when Alvin Kamara's back in the building, Hassan Reddick's going to cover Alvin Kamara? That's what your boy's talking about. By the way, it's Jeff Kerr reported it. Man, rush the guy. Okay? Rush the guy. It's like taking a pole vaulter and saying, hey, you're now a shot putter. No, Jeremiah, Dan. Hey, don't screw this up. I'm sorry. I think we're out of the gate with it. Baby goes like this. Quit it, Dan. You're killing me. Hey, right, Joe. That tight end that they got, is that kid from Iowa, Joe? That Hawkinson kid, is that the kid from Iowa, that tight end? You're going to cover him out of the backfield too? He's a pretty good ball player. Oh, but that's right. You guys think the Lions are terrible. He's not a bad player. He could be 1,000-yard receiving tight end in Detroit. He could be. DeAndre Swift is going to be a 1,400-yard back, 80 catches this year. You're not going to see the kid from Alabama, though, because I don't think he's going to be ready for week 1. I told you, Gannon's killing the defense. Biggest problem. Hey, man. Dude, Joseph, when you have players like you have with Jordan Davis and you have with all the guys that they have, there's only, like, you know how they say, like, it's like when you have, like, look at LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. 2 ball hogs. There's only 1 basketball. Russell Westbrook is not good without the ball in his hand. Like, you know, one of the greatest things that makes Steph Curry a really great player is him moving around the way he does without the ball, right? Creating shot opportunities. He's spectacular at that. Okay? Russell Westbrook is terrible without the ball in his hand. LeBron likes the ball in his hand because he's a control freak. There's nothing wrong with that when you put a resume like that up, like LeBron has. Well, on the defense, you apply that same mentality. You have all these pieces. One of them is a unicorn because 6'1", 240. What are you going to do with him? Can't really have him cover backs and tight ends. Gannon's saying he's going to do it. Guy, he's not that good at it. Ask Arizona. Ask Carolina. Now, John Kincade thinks the reason he's on his 3rd team is because he wanted to come home. That could be. Played his ball at Temple. That could be. Absolutely. I'll take it with a grain of salt. It's just practice, right, Sills? What? It hurts? Yeah, dude, don't look at those stupid. Hey, by the way, anybody who keeps stats for practice is stupid and reports it. Coaches, I get it. You want to see if the guy completed passes to the guy, you write him down. But as a dude, as a like a reporter, you're reporting practice stats. What does that actually tell you? So watch this. So one day he's great, the next day he sucks. Is that how you took that? I don't take it anyway. They're dumb, both of them. Well, he was 12 of 15 on the first day, and he was 8 for 15 with 2 picks the second or third day, whatever they practiced. Come on, man. That has no bearing on how this kid's going to play this year, those 2 days. Oh, man. I will give you guys credit, though. You cover some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen. Oh, man. What's next? Pancakes by Mulata? Jesus. Hey, Jordan Mulata had 3 pancakes today in practice. Hey, that I might want to hear. Who'd he pancake? Maybe I would want to hear that. Ugh. So how's Reddick covering tight ends? Any different? I don't want him covering tight ends. I want him rushing the passer. Covering tight ends. Tell you what, he's not making the money he's making because he's covering backs out of the backfield and covering tight ends and lining up in the slot. That's not why he's here. You think he's here for that? You think that guy is that versatile as a player, like he's TJ Watt or something? Dude, they barely ask TJ Watt to do that. Come on, dog. We have pass rushers already. Then why were you last in the pass rushing stat last year? Then why were you one of the worst teams in the league in pass rushing, Reyes? If you had pass rushers already. Like who? Who was a big pass rusher last year? Hardgrave? And then who? You guys were down at the bottom, man. You were like 30th. Who are you talking about? Jadavian Clowney. You don't have him. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anybody that the best one was Sweat, and he's not an every down guy in my book. He's got to prove to me he can be an every down guy. White and Dean will cover tight ends. GT, your boy Gannon said it. According to Jeff Kerr, he's going to have him cover guys coming out of the backfield this year. Davis had 9 sacks in 43 games at Georgia, and he's going to be a Dominican Sue all of a sudden. Jeremiah, those practice stats don't mean anything to me. 0. I could care less. I could care less if he throws 4 picks. I could care less. Paul goes, Gannon is going to be the death of this team. I don't think they'll let him get it there. Okay? I don't think they'll let him get it there. I think there'll be more influence. Why? Here, can I ask you guys, why would Howie go from Jim Schwartz to Jonathan Gannon? How old is Jonathan Gannon? How old is that guy? How old is Jonathan Gannon? $39 old. Shit, Kelce almost as old as him. 35? You got a guy like that who's a first-time D coordinator coordinating with a guy who was a first-time head coach and a first-time OC. It's a 21, Timothy says. I don't know, man. Here, look. So you hire an inexperienced DC. You hire an inexperienced head coach. You got an inexperienced quarterback. I will give this to you. I'm stunned they were 9-8 last year. I'm stunned. There's 0 experience in that whole coaching staff. 0. But they were smart enough after 2-5. Now, maybe that was Howie. Hey, we got to run it. That would be a shame if that directive came from the front office and not the coaching staff. That'd be a shame. Hey, we got to get away from throwing it here. It ain't working. Hey, let me ask you this. So you're telling me you have confidence in Jalen Hurts this year throwing the ball. The Eagles didn't. After 2-5, they changed the offense completely around to running it. They didn't have confidence in him, but now they do. Why? Because you added A.J. Brown? You put 4 new tires on a car and called it drivable? Is that how you looked at it? That's my concern. Like, Jalen goes, it's my second year in the system. What system? The system was revamped twice last year. You went from throwing the ball a ton. Seth Joyner said it even 2 weeks ago. Seth said it. He goes like this. He goes, yeah, they threw the ball 35 times a game, and then all of a sudden they decided to run it. That's not the same system. They did, like I said in the first hour, they did more harm in his development as a quarterback last year in those first 7 games than anything they did all year last year. Took the ball out of his hands. And some of you go like this. Well, the talent wasn't that good. Well, shit, why'd you draft a wide receiver then in the first round? And listen to this. That's added on to what I'm saying here. First-year head coach, first-year DC, first-year starter, and an inexperienced wide receiver core. It's pretty amazing they were 9-8. Not that you beat anybody, but they won games, which is great. It's a great – hey, the cement that was poured last year, I can't take it away from anybody, and I won't. You give them kudos. You give them kudos. Now, the key is this. You know this as well as I do, guys. The one thing in this league that we all know, every single team from the Lions to the Vikings to Washington have broken down every single fundamental situation that Philly was in last year offensively. And they looked at the first 7 and they looked at the last 10 games of last year and have broken it down 3rd and long, 3rd and 2, 1st and 2nd, 2nd and 7. And they're going to come up with a systematical game plan to go against Sirianni and his offense. How do you stop the Eagles? Get a lead. Make Jalen throw the ball. Disguise coverages. Oh, you're going to see a ton of disguise coverage. You know what you're going to see against Philly? You watching that Lions game. They're going to have the walk-up coverage defense. You know how Baltimore stays in that pack? You see, because what's the first thing that Jalen has to do when he comes to the line of scrimmage? He's got to find a safety. Comes to the line of scrimmage. He sets the offense to the safety. Where is he? Where's the free or strong safety? He sees him. Baltimore and Ed Reed were notorious at doing this. And a lot of teams started picking it up. The Saints did it too. You started seeing them starting to do it. You started seeing New England do a lot of it also, that walk-up defense where they just stayed in that pack until the last second, and then they went out to their positions, and then they went out to their coverages. You're going to see a lot of that, and they're going to disguise their coverages. And you know how they're going to disguise it too? They're going to disguise it because they don't think that kid can read anything yet. Or, here, he's going to have to prove it. Here's what I would do to Jalen. Pressure and disguise my coverages and press the wideouts. Get them off their line. I'm playing press coverage against Philly. Even if the guy gets open, can he find him? That's what's going to be the saving grace. If I'm a D coordinator, I do this. I tell my guys, look, we've got to bring pressure, but set the edges on this guy. Don't let him get out in the perimeter because he breaks your heart. He does, Jalen Hurts, on getting those first downs, right? Keep him in the box. Move him left. It's not great moving left. Move him left. Okay, try to keep him on that left hash mark. Okay, if you're looking at it now and you're looking at a football field and you're looking at it left to right, keep him on the hash mark closest to the sidelines. Make him roll left. Okay? Make him come to this side of the field. I don't think he's good at that. Keep him in the box. Set the edges. Press coverage to wideouts. You know what the key would be, though? Here's how I would combat that. Okay, they want to do all that. I'm going to run it. I would run it. Run it, run it, run it. Will the Philadelphia Eagle coaching staff on the offensive side have the patience, though, when you sign a guy for $100 million and you drafted a guy in the first round? Will they use them? They should use those two guys as more of a decoy and Dallas Goedert be your main target. And if you had a decent back that could catch the ball out of the backfield, then we're talking about opening up the passing game at Y and Z. But until you do that, you're talking about, again, will they be patient? Do you know that when I see 12 of 15 in about 20 plays they ran, okay? I want to know if you're working on your run attack. You're proficient at that. Again, here's the two things that I'm looking at these first 3 days going into, I hope, full gear tomorrow. Here's what I'm looking at. So you're working on your passing game? That tells me all that. Now, could it be something that they're throwing out there for everyone and they're still going to stick to the run game? I doubt it. Because then the owner's going to go to the general manager. Why did we spend $100 million on that guy? If there's pressure on 49erville to play Trey Lance and move off of Jimmy G, you don't think there's pressure in Philly to throw the ball? There's now pressure to throw the ball. You're being pushed into throwing it, not running it, because you spent a first rounder and $100 million. You're being pressured into it. Like I said, I'm going to kind of roll into the game, and I'm going to – don't you think also, personally, when you're running the ball, don't you think that sets a tone too for the rest of your football team, that you're dominating a guy at the point of attack and that you're pushing people off the football? It's a tone setter. We gave AJ $100 million for the next quarterback. Hey, some people believe that the team is being built for the next guy. Seals, you're the offensive coordinator, game 1 versus Lions. What are your first 10 plays? Run, pass. Here's my philosophy against the Lions. My number one objective against the Detroit Lions is to make sure Jalen Hurts is in 3rd and short 95% of the time, because that gives us a chance to win the game. How many times a year ago did you see in the first 7 games that the football team was 3rd and long? Even in that Giant game in the Meadowlands, how many times did you see 3rd and long? Coordinators know that. The percentage of you being able to complete first down goes from this. When you're 3rd and 2, there is a 70% chance that you're going to get the first down. When you're 3rd and 8 or more, there's a 15% chance that you're going to get the first down. You're playing percentages. And for a football team that's trying to develop a passing game, 3 and outs are they're criminal to that development. You can't be 3rd and long, throw the ball 38 times, and think you're going to win a game against anybody in the NFL. I want this. My first play sequences against the Lions, run the ball. I got to win 1st and 2nd down. 1st and 2nd down determine if I'm going to keep a drive alive. Jalen comes out, throws the ball. He throws an incomplete pass. You're 2nd and 10. You're behind the chains already. Don't have the kid start his season out behind the chains. He's not capable yet. I don't think that offense is mature enough to do that yet. Me, I'm running the ball. I want to be here. My first down play, dude, I want to be 2nd and 6. 2nd and 6, I can screen it. 2nd and 6, then if he misses it, 3rd and 6 is not criminal. You got to win 1st and 2nd down in that offense. Patrick Mahomes can lose 1st and 2nd down, and he'll win 3rd down because he's a skilled passer. He's a skilled passer. All those penalties last year. Hey, think about this, Chris. So you combine the penalties. You combine the penalties, and you're 3rd and long against really good football teams, and you had no screen game. There's guys, can I tell you, I goof on the 3,100 yards because you know why? It was self-inflicted by the offensive coordinator and by the coaching staff. You had no screen game. You did not fundamentally start the season correctly. And for him to have any kind of success, you had no short passing game. Brady's made a career out of that. All the great guys have made careers at Drew Brees. Do you find it odd that Alvin Kamara was a star in New Orleans with Brees? Sony Michel was a superstar in New England with Brady, and now Leonard Fournette was a star. Did you notice that all those guys, Aaron Jones up in Green Bay, you have that component in there because it keeps defenses in line. Joseph goes, last year we had a raggedy car with a student driver. Now we have a NASCAR, an experienced driver. Now who's the experienced driver, the play caller or the quarterback? I think the offensive guys, I'm going to tell you one more time. I'm more concerned about the coaching than I am Jalen Hurts. How many points does this offense need to beat elite defenses to win. Name, when you run the ball for 200 yards and you run a football team into submission, you could beat a team 17-14, and it feels like you got your ass kicked in a heavyweight fight. When you get 250 yards rushing on someone, I don't care what the score is, dude. It's like playing with one hand tied behind your back. I'd rather play against an offense that throws the ball for 500 yards than play against an offense that runs the ball for 250 yards. There's no winning that. You're being kicked to hell. When you beat the Patriots up, Foles had worn your asses out running the ball, and then they submitted, and everything went over the top, and it was easy. You ran that team into submission. You see, money, you're making excuses. Go back to Dallas. Flex goes, I respect your opinion because you don't hold back. But I trust Nick. He holds them dudes accountable. It's easy to hold somebody accountable when you won 9 games. Okay? Everybody in this city and everybody questioned him at 2-5. Did you not? Then they had to take the football out of the hands of Jalen Hurts and put it into the hands of the O-line. Is that confidence in your quarterback? The damn coaching staff didn't have confidence in the kid. Those are all realities. That's not me talking about an opinion. You know it. You saw it. You just don't want to, some of you don't want to admit it. It's okay. You like the kid. I get it. I like the kid. But that's got nothing to do with winning football games. I can't stand Rodgers but want him on my team. I love Jalen Hurts but wouldn't want him as my starting quarterback. I get it. It's hard to do that. Shit, I got to see, that's compromising. It's almost like politics. You hate Trump, you want him out of the White House. So you elected Biden because he's a softer guy. But then look what you get. It's the greatest comparison. Aaron Rodgers. I don't want that guy as my friend, but I want him as my quarterback. Okay? It's true. Most people don't like working with people they hate. Okay? They don't. I would. If I can't stand you, but you helped me win, why would I put my team in a position to play the lesser guy because it made me feel better in my locker room? That's what Jalen Hurts feels like to me. You hated Carson Wentz so bad because of how he acted that you took the lesser dude and you're praying for him to be successful. Tell me I'm wrong. And we like him. Community likes him. Kids like him. All the things that don't matter in football. Sucks, doesn't it? Watch this. Adrian Peterson's put back on the Minnesota Vikings after he beats his kid with a switch. How many players do you think on that Viking team didn't want that guy back in that locker room? Probably 90% of them. Nobody likes to see that shit. And nobody wants to answer that shit. Okay? But you know what he can do for your football team. And then you compromise yourself. The owner put him in. I got to take a timeout. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community, a sports roundup for the locals, and the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Big Sills National Football Show. Hey, one of the greatest things on the planet just happened for Jimmy Garoppolo. Shows you the respect that the 49ers have for Garoppolo. Okay? Thank you very much, Flex. They cut him. Now he gets to pick his team where he wants to go. Instead of being shipped to some shitty place like Seattle or going to some place that has no chance of winning. Now he gets to pick his own place. Fantastic. I love that. And he's guaranteed the $24 million. You can't ask for anything better. I get to pick the place I want to go instead of being dealt to a place. They didn't want to send Garoppolo to a shitty place. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, sir. They didn't want to send him. That's respect. They're not doing that out of malice. How could a coach like Kyle Shanahan, who's 7-28, disrespect a guy like Garoppolo when he's 38-16 in San Francisco? How's that possible? You can't. Actually, in my opinion, Ray, thank you, brother. In my opinion, that's a phenomenal thing they did for Jimmy G. Okay? GT goes, why was he so good? Well, Garoppolo's a winner. Every time that Kyle Shanahan didn't have Garoppolo on the field, he was 7-28. Facts. Facts. I think Garoppolo's going to land in New York with the Giants. And the Giants are going to sign him. I would bet you anything. And I will bet you this. They signed him to a multiple-year deal if he wants it. Do you understand him being – now, wait a minute. They cut him. He still has to go through waivers, doesn't he? Hang on. But then again, the $24 million, most teams are pressed against the cap. Most teams right now at this time, because rosters are set, are pressed against the cap. I'd be interested to see what team has money to move around like that and pick up that $24 million. Because it's a $24 million. If you pick up, I think when you cut a guy like that, he still has to clear waivers. And you go into this recent draft. Who had the number 1 pick? Who had the number 1? It was the Jags, right? Well, the Jags aren't going to take him because of Trevor Lawrence. Thank you, Sydney. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. The Texans, would they pick that up? See, here's my thing, 215. If you really, maybe, would the Falcons pick? No, because they have $38 million on the books that they have to eat with Matt Ryan. So it won't be them. Chicago? Would Chicago pick him up? Boy, that'd be a death star for him going to Chicago. Would the Steelers pick him up? What team in the NFL? How about the Saints? Holy shit. Brian, hey, Dan, would you rather have Jimmy G or Jalen Hurts? It's not a question, bro. I'd take Jimmy G 10 times over. I'd rather have a guy who wins all the time and may not be there all the time than a guy who kind of wins and is not very good throwing the ball. How about if Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the Saints? I don't know what the Saints cap space is. 215, can you imagine him with Michael Thomas? Thank you, Sydney. Very cool comment. Christopher, you think the Steelers? Really? I don't know what I don't know what teams. Let's take a look at that. I think it's awesome what they did for him. What NFL teams have the most cap space as of July 29, 2022? Okay, here's the current cap space right now. Browns have 42-2. The Browns, Garoppolo, Deshaun Watson. Where's the super chat? I missed it. I'm sorry, Xander. Put it up there again for me, please. Laurie always gives his coaches chances to land and handpick their quarterback, which is why I think Hurts won't be the quarterback in 2013, not with this talented class coming out. I agree, Flex. By the way, thank you so much, Flex. Here's what I have, and I'm just doing this off the net here, so forgive me if it's a little bit. Browns have 42-2. Carolina 25-1, but they got 2 quarterbacks down there now. The Bears have 23-8. The Steelers have 23-1. The Cowboys have 22-5. They're not doing nothing. The Washington Commanders have $20 million. The Dolphins have 17-5. Seattle has 18-5. Falcons have 14. The Eagles have 14. The Eagles have $14 million. You move some things around. Jimmy Garoppolo on the Philadelphia Eagle offense would win 13 ball games. You'd be in the NFC Championship, just the same way he was last year. Garoppolo was in the NFC title game and did beat Dallas and did beat Green Bay last year. Oh, I think he lands in New York, man. Dallas is looking for a backup. Well, they're not bringing Dak Prescott. They're not having him behind Dak Prescott. Lions only have 9-8. Wow. Garoppolo in Detroit. I didn't think of that. Man. That would look good. Can you imagine if you had, hey, thank you very much. Ragan 486, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Can you imagine if the Lions for week 1 land Jimmy G and you got to play against Garoppolo, DeAndre Swift? Shit, what if you get the Alabama kid ready to rock for the first game? Got that nice tight end. Got the third best O-line. Oh, wow. I wonder what that point spread would be if Garoppolo's a starting quarterback in Detroit. You still got a lot of money, though, on that golf deal that you got to kill. Why, though? I thought golf was Montana. Who said that, jackass? Who said golf was Montana? He's done more than your boy, and you took it there. He's won an NFC championship game, went to a Super Bowl at least. Had a winning record with the Rams when McVay was there. What's your point, guy? Beat teams that mattered. He's actually been to the game. Would Lamar Jackson make this team any better than Hurts? Name. That guy's won like 75% of his football games. He was a unanimous MVP, led the NFL in passing touchdowns. You make it sound like he is Hurts. More than Jimmy G did? Jimmy G won an NFC championship too. Jimmy G's been to 2 of the last 3 NFC title games. I think you need to read a book, dude. Read a book. By the way, we got a party going on here this weekend. My daughter's 21st birthday was the 27th, so I got I think I'm going to be banished, okay, from the Dan Cave for a couple days. Not going to be good. Xander goes, I'd take Jimmy Garoppolo over Hurts. Ooh, I say it again. Hey. Big Sills Jr. Her name is Danielle. It's not named after me, though. Everyone always goes, oh, you named your kid after you? No, I named him after my firefighter of 30 years, my legendary grandfather. His nickname was Brother Bear. His nickname was Brother Bear. God, I love that man. You didn't do birds. Thank you, Sydney. Hey, Sydney, shut up. Oh, man. Oh, God. You got to be boys with Xander then, man. Hey, by the way, John McMullen, Tone, I love you guys. You know I didn't do that on purpose. I would never do that. Yeah. Hey, Xander goes like this. I love that guy. Hey, Sydney, Xander goes, I love that guy. He paid to chirp at you. That's what it is, man. Yeah, I'm going to be banished from the Dan Cave. Not good. So we got like swans, like all of our friends are coming over. By the way, so here I'm going to use a line from Bronx Tale, just so you know. I told Danielle's friends already. Here's the rule. You ready? Because there's going to be some alcohol. 21st birthday. Now's you can't leave. So Kim, what my wife's going to do is she's going to block the driveway with our car. So nobody can leave. It's going to block the driveway. Nobody can leave. Now you can't leave. I told Dee Dee that. She started laughing. Hurts lost to Daniel Jones last year. Hurts' only division wins are against backup quarterbacks. When is Dan Cave coming east? Joe. As soon as the kid's out of school, Big Sills is rolling back home. You can guarantee you that. Think I'm living in a fascist state like California? Not happening. Not happening. Oh, yeah. Hey, now you can't leave. Oh, boy. Hey, do you think they practice full gear tomorrow, the Eagles? Or do you think they take another mocha break? Yet to be determined. Wi-Fi not letting that happen. Greg, thank you so much, man. You guys are really great. You guys have been spectacular this week. I thought we had a great week to kick off the start of the NFL season. Gary Cobb, Monday, 4:30, as always. Guys, have a safe and prosperous weekend. We really appreciate every single one of you. By the way, John McMullen's got some great videos up of camp today over on our website. Please go check them out. I love that stuff, okay? We appreciate you all. Till Monday, 3 to 6 Eastern. We'll see you on the flip side.